Imagine a world where kings ruled not for decades, not even for centuries, but for tens of thousands of years. A world where gods walked among men, and the line between myth and history blurred into one eternal shadow. What if I told you that the Sumerians, the first known civilization in human history, actually recorded these reigns in exact numbers? And that according to their records, humans once ruled the earth for over 241,000 years before the Great Flood? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But it's written in stone. Hey everyone, welcome back to Whispers of Lost World, the channel where ancient history meets timeless mystery. In today's video, we were venturing deep into one of the most fascinating and puzzling documents ever, Unearthed the Sumerian King List. This ancient record claims that before the flood that changed the world, 8 mighty kings ruled the land for a combined total of 241,200 years. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what this mysterious text really says, but you'll also uncover how it connects to biblical floods, ancient myths, and even theories of extraterrestrial contact. So sit back and prepare for a journey through time itself, because what you're about to hear might just rewrite everything you thought you knew about human history. Our story begins in the early 1900s, the ruins of ancient Sumer, the cradle of civilization nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is now Iraq. Archaeologists digging through the sands of Mesopotamia stumbled upon clay tablets inscribed with wedge-shaped marks, known as cuneiform, the world's oldest writing system. At first, the tablets appeared to be mundane records lists of kings, rulers, and dynasties. But when scholars began translating them, what they found was utterly astounding. The text declared that the earliest kings of Sumer reigned for tens of thousands of years. The first line of the tablet reads, "After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. In Eridu, Ululam became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. 28,800 years for a single reign." And that was only the beginning. The list goes on to name 7 more kings before a great flood swept over the earth. And when all their reigns are combined, the total comes to a mind-bending 241,200 years. According to this ancient document, humanity's history of kingship stretches back not millennia, but hundreds of thousands of years. Let's look at who these rulers were. Sumerian King List tells us that first came Ululam of Eridu, ruling for 28,800 years. What's fascinating is that after the flood, the reigns listed become far shorter, mere decades or centuries, far more human. The text even says, after the flood had swept over, the kingship descended again from heaven. This line, descended from heaven, has puzzled scholars for more than a century. Does it mean divine authority? Or could it hint at something far stranger, a literal descent of celestial beings? Many historians take the phrase metaphorically. In ancient Sumerian culture, heaven often symbolized divine power or legitimacy. But others, including those exploring ancient astronaut theories, have suggested that this line could be interpreted more literally, that kingship, knowledge, or even beings themselves came from the sky. After all, the Sumerians worshipped deities like Anu, Enlil, and Enki, who they described as descending from the heavens to rule the earth. Then there's the flood itself. A great flood that wipes out civilization sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's found in the Bible story of Noah, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, in Hindu, Greek, and even Native American myths. In the Sumerian version, a man named Ziusudra is warned by the gods to build a massive boat before the flood destroys the world. After surviving the deluge, Ziusudra is granted immortality. The story predates Noah's by centuries, suggesting that the flood narrative we know today might have originated here, in ancient Sumer. After the flood, according to the king list, kingship was re-established, but now human rulers had far shorter reigns, no longer thousands of years, but dozens. So why did the Sumerians record such enormous lifespans? Were they exaggerating? Some scholars argue these numbers are symbolic. It's tied to the Sumerian base 60 counting system, where 6,600 and 3,600 held sacred mathematical meanings. The massive numbers could represent cycles of celestial events, perhaps the movements of planets or star ages. Others believe they may have been expressing power and reverence, equating long reigns with divine perfection. Yet, intriguingly, other ancient cultures report the same pattern. In the Bible, early patriarchs like Adam, Methuselah, and Noah lived for hundreds of years. The Egyptian Turin King List also speaks of gods who ruled for thousands of years before human kings. In India's Puranas, cosmic ages called yugas span millions of years. Different cultures, different eras, but the same echo: there was once an age when gods ruled for impossibly long lifespans. Among the pre-flood kings, one name stands out: Imendorana of Sepur. The text says he was taken to heaven by the gods, where he was taught the secrets of the universe, knowledge of stars, calendars, and divine laws, before returning to share them with humankind. Does this sound familiar? It mirrors the biblical story of Enoch, who walked with God and was taken to heaven. Many researchers have wondered if these could be the same figure seen through different cultural eyes: Imendorana in Sumer, Enoch in the Hebrew tradition, Hermes in Greece, Thoth in Egypt. Each a bringer of divine knowledge, each bridging the gap between gods and men. After the flood, the king list continues into what scholars call the historical era. Here we find names that archaeology can verify, such as Gilgamesh of Uruk, who ruled for 126 years and became immortalized in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This section reads less like myth and more like real history. Empires rise and fall. City-states like Kish, Uruk, Lagash, and Akkad battle for dominance. The transition from millennia-long reigns to human lifespans is striking. Some see it as the shift from divine to mortal rule. Others interpret it as symbolic of humanity's loss of contact with the gods. The world became smaller, human, and mortal. But what does it mean that kingship descended from heaven? Could it be a poetic way to say that power came from divine authority? Or could it suggest that beings from the sky-weather gods, angels or something else, literally descended to rule? The Sumerians didn't describe their gods as abstract ideas. They depicted them as powerful beings with families, rivalries, and territories. Anu was the sky god, Enki, the god of wisdom and creation, and Lil, the lord of air and command. They had temples, laws, and councils. They interacted directly with humanity, teaching everything from agriculture to astronomy. Could this sudden appearance of civilization writing, law, cities, and kingship be a reflection of that divine contact? Because according to archaeology, Sumerian civilization seems to have appeared almost out of nowhere around 4000 BC, fully formed, with no clear developmental path behind it. Mainstream scholars, of course, remain skeptical. They see the Sumerian king list as part myth, part propaganda, clever tool for uniting Sumerian city-states under a single divine narrative. By claiming descent from gods and pre-flood kings, later rulers could legitimize their own power. Yet even conventional historians admit that the king list's later sections match archaeological findings surprisingly well. The early parts may be mythical, but they connect seamlessly into verifiable history. It's myth fused with memory, a bridge between legend and reality. Meanwhile, alternative researchers like Zecharia Sitchin have proposed more radical interpretations. Sitchin suggested that the gods of Sumer were actually visitors from another world, the Anunnaki, who genetically engineered early humans as workers. In his theory, the long reigns of the early kings represent the natural lifespans of these long-lived extraterrestrial beings. Whether or not one believes this, it shows how compelling the mystery remains. Why did the Sumerians record reigns lasting tens of thousands of years, unless they truly believed in an age when immortals walked the earth? Let's pause for a moment and imagine this world as the Sumerians saw it. The year is 30,000 BCE. The city of Eridu, the first city, glows beside the endless rivers under a pale golden sun. Towering temples of clay rise above shimmering marshlands. Smoke from sacred fires curls into the sky. Inside vast marble halls walks Ululim, the first king. His presence is commanding, his eyes reflect the stars, his skin gleams faintly under torchlight. He speaks, and his voice seems to echo across centuries. Generations are born and die, yet he remains eternal, unchanging. To his people, he is no man. He is divine. And then one day, the sky itself turns against them. Thunder roars, the rivers rise, and walls crumble. A deluge unlike any before sweeps over the land. The world drowns. When the waters finally recede, the gods are gone. The age of immortals has ended. From the silence, humankind begins again. Beneath the layers of time, in the ruins of Eridu, the tablets wait, They wait for us to rediscover them, to question them, to wonder whether they are legend or truth. Because whether the Sumerian king list is symbolic, literal, or somewhere in between, it preserves a memory of a world very different from ours, one where the heavens and earth were once one. Let's recap what we've explored. The Sumerian king list is one of the oldest written records known to humanity. It describes 8 kings who ruled before a great flood for a combined 241,200 years. After the flood, human kings reigned for realistic lifespans, marking the beginning of recorded history. The document bridges myth and fact, suggesting that early civilizations may have remembered an era of divine or semi-divine rulers. Whether you interpret those reigns as symbolic cycles, ancient astronomy, or echoes of forgotten beings, the message is clear. The Sumerians believed their kingship and, perhaps their civilization itself, descended from the heavens. This challenges everything we know about where we came from and when our story truly began. So the question remains, what if human history didn't begin 6,000 years ago, but restarted then? What if the flood was not just a myth, but a reset? And what if the Sumerian king list is a surviving whisper from a world that came before ours, a civilization erased by time, yet remembered in stone? If this journey through forgotten epochs fascinated you, don't let it vanish back into the dust. Hit that like button to support the channel, share your theories in the comments below, and subscribe to Whispers of Lost World for more deep explorations into ancient civilizations, lost technologies, and the mysteries that continue to haunt our past. Because the past isn't dead, it's just waiting to be remembered.